My Vision of Teaching and Learning by Emma Limas. Over the course of this program, I have created and developed a personal vision for teaching and learning. Through lessons, activities, readings, and my placement opportunities, I have become more knowledgeable and confident, both in what it means to be a teacher and in what kind of classroom I want to create. I envision a classroom community of safety, care, and respect. I will foster this community through equity, inclusion, and compassion in all aspects of teaching and learning: planning, assessment, classroom management, and evaluation. I will honor the diverse backgrounds, skills, and needs of my students. Finally, I will not do it alone. My vision for teaching and learning includes collaboration with outside sources such as parents to best support my students. I have consistently been developing this vision for over a year. When I started this program in September 2022, my ideas around teaching and learning were similar. I knew I wanted to create a classroom that could serve diverse learners, encourage collaboration, and make connections to the real world, but I didn't know how. I didn't know the logistics, and I had some prior assumptions that just weren't correct. In my FE1 Week 1 DLP response, I claimed that teaching is not all about assessments. At that point, I had thought all assessment was evaluative. And although I didn't explicitly mention this in my DLP, early on, I do remember thinking classroom management was a response to poor behavior. I now know that classroom management is woven into the classroom community you create throughout the year. By FE2, I had created a vision that was formed on more knowledge and an understanding of the importance of class community, culturally responsive pedagogy, and ongoing assessment for learning. I knew these concepts, but I hadn't truly grasped them and how they actually worked in the classroom. I have since built understanding and confidence in these concepts and more, evidence of which is in my FE3 DLP. One of the first concepts that helped create my vision this semester was Drake and Reed's Integrated Curriculum for 21st Century Learning. I believe there is so much benefit in a holistic approach to teaching and an interdisciplinary curriculum. Integrated project-based learning allows students to make deeper connections and find meaning in their learning. In Week 3, I was once again influenced by Learning for All and Growing Success. I learned the importance of long-range planning and how to do this. I learned about all the aspects you need to take into account when planning. I also learned that this process is ongoing and must be reflective to best support your students and ensure you are meeting their learning needs. Another crucial element of my vision for teaching and learning is the incorporation of Indigenous education and the TRC's calls to action. In Week 4, I was inspired by the words of Murray Sinclair. It is precisely because education was the primary tool of oppression of Aboriginal people and the miseducation of all Canadians that we have concluded that education holds the key to reconciliation. In Week 4, I wrote a letter to myself to ensure I remember that when it comes down to it, no matter how caught up I get in curriculum, due dates, and report cards, it is my responsibility to teach the truth of the colonialism in Canada, counter the current hidden curriculum, and foster empathy in my students. In Week 5, I read Carla Shalaby's take on classroom management and radically inclusive discipline. Her thoughts guided me in creating my personal management system. I believe compassion, empathy, and understanding go a long way in classroom management and forging a classroom community of respect. In Week 6, I solidified the importance of effective assessment in my vision for teaching and learning. I will ensure my students know the purpose of assessment is to support student learning. I envision a classroom where students want to be assessed, where students want me to know exactly what they know so I can best support them. Week 7 related again to assessment, but with a focus on evaluation. In terms of my vision, I want to create as many equitable opportunities for students to showcase their learning. This anticipation guide helped me put into words how I want assessment to impact my classroom. Finally, in Week 8, I learned about the role parents play in education. I used to think it wasn't that important for parents to know what's going on in the classroom. I thought the learning was between me and the students. In Week 8, I learned how much of an impact it has to include parents as collaborators. Teachers and parents can work together to extend their care and support from the classroom to home. I have now made collaboration with outside resources and parents a core part of my vision of teaching and learning. It's hard to sum up all of the ideas I want to implement in the classroom to one vision statement, but I think the ideas of community, understanding, and empathy are common in all that I envision. Of course, with any goal, there are limitations. I'm going to face time constraints, a lack of confidence in my abilities, and pressure to just do what other teachers are doing. I think that my personal wellness is also a limiting factor, since there is only so much effort I can put into my classroom in my first year of teaching without burning out. That being said, I have created achievable goals to help myself carry out my vision in my first year. I want to implement community builders in the first week and beyond, despite other teachers moving on with curriculum. I think this is so important to creating a learning environment. I also want to become comfortable with parents by emailing and phoning home before parent-teacher night. Lastly, I want to use conversations and observations as valid forms of assessment. I aim to document these for each student to reflect on the learning. Going into my first year of teaching will be a learning curve, but with a growth mindset, resources, and goals to help keep me on track, I think I can become the teacher I want to be. In a few years' time, I know I'll be confident in my teaching and my ability to carry out my vision for teaching and learning.